in the vast darkness between stars, where civilized species build their homes on gentle worlds with predictable weather and tame wildlife, there exists a classification system that strikes fear into the hearts of even the most advanced galactic councils. Deathworld Classification Level 12. Only 3 planets in the known galaxy have ever received this designation. Worlds so hostile, so unforgiving, that the mere thought of life evolving there seems impossible. Worlds where the gravity crushes bones, where the weather kills without warning, where every creature has evolved not just to survive, but to hunt and destroy. The Galactic Federation had always wondered what kind of beings could possibly emerge from such hellish environments. They theorized that if anything did evolve on these nightmare planets, it would be so savage, so primitive, so driven by pure survival instinct that it could never achieve space travel or join civilized society. They were about to discover just how catastrophically wrong they were. When the first distress call in over 2 centuries reached the forbidden sector containing the third Death World, it wasn't just a plea for help. It was an awakening. An alarm clock for a species that had been peacefully sleeping, unaware that they were considered the galaxy's greatest potential threat. The beings who answered that call didn't come in sleek, sterile ships built for comfort and efficiency. They came in vessels that looked like they were designed to ram through asteroid fields, piloted by creatures who found the vacuum of space less terrifying than a rainy afternoon back home. The galaxy was about to meet humanity, and nothing would ever be the same. Captain Sarah Chen was enjoying what passed for a quiet morning aboard the cargo hauler Defiant Spirit when the universe decided to turn her life upside down. She sat in the mess hall, savoring her coffee while watching Earth's sunrise paint the clouds in brilliant oranges and reds through the viewport. After 3 months of deep space runs between the outer colonies, seeing home never got old. The ship's communication array crackled to life with the kind of static that made experienced spacers pay attention.
This wasn't the usual chatter from traffic control or the colonies.
This was something else entirely. "Captain Chen to the bridge," came the voice of her communications officer, Lieutenant Rodriguez. There was an edge to his voice that made Sarah set down her coffee and move quickly through the corridors of her ship. The Defiant Spirit was a typical human cargo vessel, built like a brick and twice as stubborn. She wasn't pretty, but she could haul massive loads through the harshest conditions the galaxy could throw at her. Her crew of 12 had been together for over 5 years, and they knew each other's voices well enough to detect trouble. Sarah entered the bridge to find Rodriguez hunched over his console, headphones clamped tight to his ears. The expression on his face was a mix of confusion and concern. "What do we have, Rodriguez?" "Ma'am, I'm picking up what appears to be a distress call, but it's unlike anything I've ever heard. The signal is coming from deep space, beyond the established trade routes. The transmission is weak and fragmented, but I've managed to clean up enough to get the basics." He touched a control, and the bridge speakers filled with a sound that made everyone present stop what they were doing. It was clearly a voice, but not human. The tone was melodic, almost song-like, but underneath the beauty was unmistakable desperation. "Translation Matrix is working on it now," Rodriguez continued. "But Captain, there's something else. This signal is coming from a sector that's marked as restricted in our navigation database. I've never seen a restriction like this before. It's not just marked as dangerous or unexplored. It's marked as forbidden." Sarah frowned as she moved to her command chair. In her 15 years of space travel, she had never encountered a forbidden sector. Dangerous ones, certainly. Unexplored regions, absolutely. But forbidden implied something far more serious. "Navigator Kim, pull up the sector charts for that region." Kim's fingers flew over her console. "Captain, according to our database, that's sector designation ZX7794. The file says it contains potential threats to galactic stability and recommends immediate withdrawal from the area. There's no other information available at our clearance level." The translated voice continued to play over the speakers, and gradually the words became clearer as the computer worked through the alien language patterns. What they heard made the bridge fall silent. "To any who can hear this transmission, we are the trading vessel, Gentle Current of the Kepler Collective. We have suffered catastrophic system failures and are trapped in the gravity well of the third planet in this system. Our engines are dead, life support is failing, and we have wounded among our crew. We estimate 47 hours before complete life support failure. Please, if anyone receives this message, we need immediate assistance." The message repeated, growing weaker with each transmission. Sarah looked around her bridge crew. They were all experienced spacers who had seen their share of emergencies and rescues. The unspoken question hung in the air like smoke. "Rodriguez, how long to reach their position at maximum burn?" Given their coordinates and our current position, 38 hours if we push the engines hard. That cuts it close. Yes, ma'am, very close. Sarah Chen had been raised on the stories of the old merchant marine, where the first law of space was that you always answered a distress call. You helped whoever needed helping, regardless of their species, their politics, or their ability to pay. It was a code that had served humanity well as they expanded into the galaxy. But this forbidden sector designation bothered her. In her experience, when authorities marked something as forbidden, they usually had good reasons. Kim, what do we know about the Kepler Collective? Running a search now, Captain. Kim's console flickered with data streams. Here we go. The Kepler Collective is a trading alliance consisting of 6 species from the Outer Rim territories. They're listed as peaceful merchants, specializing in rare minerals and cultural artifacts. Their ships are designed for long-range exploration and trade, rather than military purposes. No history of conflict with human space. The distress call continued its loop. The alien voice growing progressively weaker. Sarah could hear the desperation increasing with each repetition. "Captain," interrupted her first officer, Marcus Webb. "I've been thinking about this forbidden sector designation. What if it's not meant to keep us out, but to keep something else in?" The thought sent a chill through the bridge. Sarah had heard rumors, stories told in spaceport bars after too many drinks. Tales of things out there in the dark that the various galactic governments preferred to pretend didn't exist. Rodriguez scanned the area around their distress beacon. "Are we picking up anything else? Other ships, energy signatures, anything unusual?" "Negative, Captain. Just the beacon and what appears to be a large planetary mass. The planet itself is showing some unusual readings, but I can't get clear data from this distance." Sarah stood and paced to the forward viewport. In the distance, she could see the commercial shipping lanes busy with traffic, cargo haulers like hers, passenger liners, the occasional patrol ship keeping the peace. It was the ordinary, peaceful bustle of civilized space. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of that civilization, was a ship full of beings who were going to die unless someone helped them. "Webb, what's our cargo manifest?" "Medical supplies bound for the Titan colonies, some manufactured goods for the Europa stations, and a special delivery of atmospheric processes for the new settlement on Kepler." 442B. "Nothing that can't wait a few days?" "No, ma'am. The medical supplies have some urgency, but we've got a cushion in the delivery schedule." Sarah made her decision. She had been making decisions like this for 20 years, and she had never regretted choosing to help someone in need. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for immediate course change to emergency burn settings. We're responding to a distress call. All departments report readiness in 15 minutes. The bridge sprang into action with the efficient movement of a veteran crew. Sarah watched them work, while a part of her mind wondered what they were getting themselves into. As the Defiant Spirit changed course and began its burn toward the Forbidden Sector, Sarah noticed something she hadn't seen before. The navigation display showed not just their destination, but other markers in that region of space. Ancient markers placed there long before humans had achieved spaceflight. One marker in particular caught her attention. It was labeled simply as Death World Classification Level 12. "Kim, what does Death World Classification mean?" Kim's searches brought up limited information. According to the Galactic Database, it's a planetary classification system used by the Galactic Federation to catalog worlds based on their danger to typical spacefaring life. Most inhabited worlds rate between Level 1 and 3. Level 12 appears to be the highest classification in the system. What makes a world Level 12? The files are restricted, Captain, but the basic description mentions extreme gravitational forces, unpredictable weather systems, aggressive native life forms, and environmental conditions incompatible with most known forms of life. As the hours passed and the Defiant Spirit pushed deeper into the Forbidden Sector, the crew began to notice changes in their sensor readings. The background radiation was different here, older somehow. There were energy signatures that didn't match anything in their databases. Rodriguez continued monitoring the distress call, which had grown so weak it was barely audible. "Captain, I'm losing the signal. Either their transmitter is failing, or we're dealing with some kind of interference. Keep trying. And start scanning for this ship as soon as we're in range." The stars outside looked the same as always, but something felt different about this region of space. It was as if they were traveling through a part of the galaxy that operated by different rules. Sarah found herself thinking about her grandfather, who had been one of the first humans to make contact with alien species nearly a century ago. He had always told her that the galaxy was a bigger, stranger place than anyone imagined. Standing on a bridge now, heading into forbidden space to rescue aliens from a world classified as too dangerous for life to exist, she was beginning to understand what he meant. The ship's doctor, Elena Vasquez, arrived on the bridge with her usual brisk efficiency. "Captain, I've been preparing the medical bay for potential alien casualties. Do we have any information about the physiology of these Kepler collective species?" "Not yet, Doc. We're flying blind on this one." "Understood. I've prepared general trauma treatments and life support options that should work for most oxygen-breathing species. We'll adapt as needed when we see what we're dealing with." Dr. Vasquez was one of the best trauma doctors in the merchant fleet, and Sarah was grateful to have her aboard. If they managed to rescue the alien crew, they would likely need every bit of her skill. As they approached the edge of the forbidden sector, the ship's automated systems began displaying warnings. Navigation hazards, unusual gravitational fields, uncharted stellar phenomena. Sarah authorized the overrides one by one, trusting her crew to handle whatever they encountered. "Captain," Kim called from her station, "I'm getting some incredible readings from this region. There are gravitational anomalies that shouldn't exist, energy signatures that don't match any known technology, and something else." "What kind of something else?" "I'm reading what appears to be debris fields. Old ones. Really old. Some of this stuff looks like it's been drifting out here for thousands of years." The pieces were starting to form a picture that Sarah didn't like. An ancient, forbidden sector of space, filled with debris from ships that had ventured here and never returned. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a planet so dangerous that it had been classified as a Level 12 death world. "Rodriguez, are you picking up anything from the planet itself? Any signs of life, technology, anything that might explain why this sector is forbidden?" "Negative on technology, Captain. But I am reading what appears to be a significant biosphere. The planet is definitely inhabited, though the life signs are unlike anything in our databases. Whatever lives down there, it's tough. Really tough." The hours continued to pass as they pushed deeper into the sector. The distress call had gone completely silent now, leaving them to navigate by the last known coordinates of the alien ship. Finally, Kim's sensors picked up what they were looking for. "Contact, Captain. I'm reading a vessel approximately 2 kilometers off our starboard bow. It's not moving, and I'm detecting minimal power signatures." On the main screen, the image of the alien ship materialized. The gentle current was unlike any human vessel Sarah had ever seen. Where human ships were built like industrial equipment, practical and robust, this ship was elegant and flowing. It looked more like a piece of art than a cargo hauler. It also looked like it had been through hell. The graceful curves of the ship's hull were scarred and dented. Entire sections appeared to be missing, and debris floated around it like a metallic cloud. Whatever had happened to this ship, it had been catastrophic. "Life signs?" Sarah asked. "Faint but present. I'm reading 7 beings aboard, though the signals are weak. They're definitely alive, but barely." Sarah looked at the crippled alien ship floating against the backdrop of the mysterious planet below. The world itself was a swirling mass of storms and darkness, occasionally lit by what appeared to be volcanic activity or massive lightning strikes. Even from orbit, it looked like exactly the kind of place that would earn a Level 12 Death World classification. "All right, people, this is what we came here for. Prepare for rescue operations, and everyone stays sharp. We still don't know what happened to their ship, and I don't want us to suffer the same fate." As the Defiant Spirit moved into position to begin rescue operations, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Not by the alien crew they'd come to save, but by something else. Something from the planet below. The rescue was about to begin, but Sarah Chen had no idea that she and her crew were about to become the first humans to make contact with a civilization that had been waiting centuries for someone to finally venture into their domain. On the surface of the planet below, ancient monitoring stations registered the presence of the human ship. For the first time in over 200 years, beings stirred in deep bunkers and hidden cities. The Watchers had detected something new in their domain. Something that didn't flee at the first sign of the planet's deadly nature. The inhabitants of Deathworld ZX-7794. I were finally going to meet their neighbors. The docking operation took 3 hours of careful maneuvering. The alien ship was too damaged for a standard docking collar connection, so Sarah ordered her crew to extend the flexible emergency umbilical. Every movement had to be precise as the gentle current was slowly tumbling in the gravity well of the planet below. "Contact established," announced Chief Engineer Torres over the comm. "Umbilical is sealed and pressurized. Atmosphere on the other side reads as oxygen-nitrogen mix, though the pressure is lower than standard. Should be breathable for our people with basic respiratory assistance." Sarah assembled her rescue team carefully. Dr. Vasquez would lead the medical response, Torres would handle any engineering issues with the alien ship, and Security Chief Johnson would ensure everyone's safety. Sarah herself would make first contact with the survivors. Remember, people, we don't know what happened to their ship. Stay alert and keep comm channels open at all times. The interior of the gentle current was as elegant as its exterior, but the damage was extensive. Conduits hung from the ceiling like metallic vines, sparks occasionally arcing from damaged systems. The gravity was noticeably weaker than standard, making each step feel strangely light. "This way," Dr. Vasquez called, following her medical scanner toward the strongest life signs. The alien ship's corridors were wider than human standard, with curved walls that created a flowing, organic feeling. Emergency lighting cast everything in an eerie blue glow. They found the survivors in what appeared to be their ship's medical bay. 7 beings unlike anything the humans had ever seen before. They were tall and graceful, with elongated limbs and faces that seemed almost crystalline in their delicate structure. Their skin had a translucent quality that showed the flow of circulatory systems underneath. The beings were clearly advanced and intelligent, but they looked fragile in a way that struck Sarah immediately. These were people who came from a gentle world, where survival meant cooperation and careful planning rather than adapting to constant threats. "They're beautiful," Dr. Vasquez whispered as she began her medical scans. "And they're in bad shape. Multiple injuries, what appears to be radiation exposure, and severe dehydration." One of the aliens stirred as the humans approached. Its large, dark eyes focused on Sarah with obvious effort. When it spoke, the words came out in its musical language, but the translation device quickly converted them to standard English. You came. We did not think anyone would hear our call in this cursed region of space." "We heard you," Sarah replied gently. "We're here to help. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the human ship Defiant Spirit. Can you tell me what happened to your vessel?" The alien's expression showed confusion.
Human?
"I do not know this word. Are you a new species to us?" The question caught Sarah off guard. In an age of galactic communication and trade, it was unusual to encounter a species that had never heard of humans. "Yes, we're from a world called Earth, in Sector 7, Yi. Delta. We've been part of the galactic community for about 80 years. Earth," the alien repeated slowly. "That designation is not familiar, but you responded to our distress call, and for that we are grateful. I am Senior Trader Lyra Lay of the Gentle Current. We were conducting a routine survey mission in this system when our ship began experiencing cascading failures. Dr. Vasquez was moving between the injured aliens with practiced efficiency. Captain, we need to get these people to our medical bay immediately. They're stable for now, but barely." "What caused the failures?" Sarah asked Lyra Lay as Torres began assessing the ship's damage. "We do not know. All systems began failing simultaneously when we entered orbit around the 3rd planet. Our engineers could find no cause, no source of interference. It was as if the ship simply decided to stop working." Lyra Lay's voice carried a note of bewilderment. "We have been trapped here for 6 days, watching our ship die around us." Torres reappeared from the engineering section with a grim expression. "Captain, this doesn't make sense. Their technology is actually more advanced than ours in several areas, but every system on this ship has been systematically degraded. It's like something was slowly eating away at their electronics." As they prepared to transfer the aliens to the Defiant Spirit, Sarah noticed something troubling. Their own ship's systems were beginning to show irregularities. Nothing major yet, just minor fluctuations in power distribution and communication clarity. "Torres, run a full diagnostic on our systems as soon as we get back. Something about this area of space is affecting electronic equipment." The transfer took another 2 hours, but finally all 7 survivors were safely aboard the human ship and receiving medical treatment. "Doctor," Vasquez reported that while their injuries were serious, they would all survive with proper care. Sarah was in her ready room, reviewing what little information they had about the mysterious planet, when Rodriguez knocked on her door. "Captain, you need to see this. We're being hailed." "By the Kepler Collective?" "Are there other ships in the area?" "No, ma'am. The transmission is coming from the planet." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. According to every database they had, the planet below was classified as uninhabitable. Nothing was supposed to be down there except hostile environment and dangerous wildlife. They returned to the bridge where Rodriguez had the incoming transmission ready to play. What they heard was completely unexpected. The voice that came through the speakers was speaking perfect, unaccented standard English. "Human vessel, Defiant Spirit. This is Deep Station Alpha calling from the surface of Terra. We've been monitoring your rescue operation and would like to extend an invitation for you to visit our facility. We believe we have information that would interest you greatly." The bridge fell silent. Sarah looked around at her crew, seeing her own confusion reflected in their faces. Rodriguez, verify that transmission source. Confirmed, Captain. It's definitely coming from the planet's surface from coordinates that show significant infrastructure development. Terra? Sarah repeated. Did they just call their planet Terra? That's what I heard too, Captain. Sarah activated the response channel. Deep Station Alpha, this is Captain Sarah Chen, of the Defiant Spirit. We were not aware that this planet was inhabited by any spacefaring civilization. Could you identify yourself and explain your presence in this restricted sector? The response came immediately, as if whoever was down there had been waiting for exactly this question. Captain Chen, we are the Terra Colonial Defense Force. We've been monitoring the system for over 2 centuries, waiting for someone to finally venture into our space. We are humans, Captain. We're your people, though we've been away from home for a very long time. The words hit the bridge like a physical blow. Sarah felt her legs go weak and she sat down hard in her command chair. Impossible, Kim whispered. There are no human colonies in this sector. No exploration missions were ever sent here. Deep Station Alpha, Sarah said carefully. Please verify your claim. Human space extends from the Sol system to the outer colonies in Sector 1-2. Gamma. No human settlements exist in this region. Captain Chen, we understand your confusion. Our colony ship, the New Horizon, left Earth in 2157, well before your current expansion period. We were one of the first-generation ships sent to establish humanity's presence in the galaxy. When we arrived at this world, we discovered it was far more dangerous than our initial surveys had indicated. Sarah's mind was racing. The year 2157 was nearly 300 years ago, during the early days of human space exploration. Several generation ships had indeed been launched during that period, but most had either established successful colonies that maintained contact with Earth, or had simply disappeared into the vast darkness of space.
If you're human colonists, why is this sector marked as forbidden?
Why has there been no contact with Earth? Because, Captain Chen, we made a decision as a colony that contact with the greater galaxy would not be in anyone's best interests. You see, Terra changed us. Living on a level 12 death world for 3 centuries has made us something different from the humans you know. Doctor. Vasquez appeared on the bridge, having heard the transmission from her medical bay. Captain, this could explain something I found in my examination of the alien survivors. Their injuries weren't caused by their ship's failure. They were caused by exposure to an environment that their bodies simply couldn't handle. It's as if something in the very air and water of this planet is toxic to most forms of life. The voice from the surface continued. We've been watching this system for generations, Captain. Ships occasionally wander into our space, usually by accident. They suffer the same fate as your rescued friends. Their technology fails, their crews become sick, and they die. Terra doesn't welcome visitors. But you survived here, Sarah said. We adapted. We had to. When you're trapped on a world that's actively trying to kill you every single day, you either evolve or you die. We chose to evolve. Senior trader Lyra Lay appeared in the bridge doorway, supported by Dr. Vasquez, but insisting on walking. Captain Chen, I must tell you something about this world. Our people have legends about it. Ancient warnings passed down through generations of spaces. This place is known to us as the Forbidden World, where the Deathwalkers live. Deathwalkers? Sarah asked. Beings who have learned to survive in places where nothing should live. Our legends say they are fierce beyond imagining, capable of enduring hardships that would destroy any normal life form. We thought they were just stories told to frighten young pilots. The transmission from the surface crackled back to life. Captain, we're detecting that your ship's systems are beginning to show the effects of extended exposure to Terra's environment. We strongly recommend that you accept our invitation to visit our facility. We can explain everything, and we can help stabilize your ship before the damage becomes irreversible. Sarah looked at her crew. Torres was monitoring the ship's systems, and his expression was growing more concerned by the minute. Captain, they're right. We're showing power fluctuations across all systems. Whatever's affecting electronics in this area is getting stronger. Deep Station Alpha, what guarantee do we have of safe passage? Our guests here seem to think your people are dangerous. Captain, we give you our word as fellow humans that you will not be harmed. But we should also be honest with you. We are dangerous, but not to you. We are dangerous to anything that threatens humanity or our allies. The galaxy has many threats that the peaceful species don't know about. We've spent 3 centuries learning to fight them. Sarah made a decision that would change the course of human-galactic relations forever. Deep Station Alpha, we accept your invitation. Please transmit landing coordinates. As the Defiant Spirit began its descent through Terra's turbulent atmosphere, the crew got their first real look at the planet that had shaped these lost humans. It was a world of extremes. Massive storms raged across continents, lightning storms that would dwarf anything on Earth. Volcanoes painted the sky in shades of red and orange, vast oceans that seemed to boil with perpetual motion. But there were also signs of civilization. Cities built into mountain faces, structures that seemed to be designed to withstand any catastrophe the planet could throw at them. Energy signatures that indicated advanced technology, but technology that had been hardened beyond anything in the standard galactic databases. My God, Kim whispered as she watched the surface approach. How does anything live down there? The same way humans have always lived in hostile environments, Sarah replied, by refusing to give up. As they descended through the lower atmosphere, they began to pick up additional transmissions from the surface. Not just from Deep Station Alpha, but from multiple locations across the planet. There were thousands of humans down there, maybe millions, an entire civilization that had grown up in secret on a world that was supposed to be uninhabitable. Captain, Rodriguez announced, I'm receiving landing clearance for coordinates in what appears to be a major metropolitan area. The population density readings are incredible. This isn't just a small colony. This is a full-scale human civilization. The landing pad they were directed to was carved directly out of solid rock, protected on all sides by massive barriers that looked like they could withstand a nuclear blast. As the Defiant Spirits settled onto the landing surface, Sarah could see figures approaching through the viewing ports. They were definitely human, but Sarah could immediately see what the voice from the surface had meant about adaptation. These people moved differently. They walked with the confident stride of apex predators, their posture and bearing suggesting beings who had never known fear. They wore clothing that seemed to be part technology and part armor, designed for function in an environment that would kill most people in minutes. The leader of the group was a woman who appeared to be roughly Sarah's age, though something about her eyes suggested she had seen far more than any normal human should have. She approached the ship with a small escort, and Sarah could see through the viewport that she was smiling. Captain Chen, came the transmission to the ship. Welcome to Terra. I'm General Marcus Stone of the Terran Defense Force. We've been looking forward to meeting you for a very long time. The meeting between the two groups of humans took place in a massive underground facility that extended far deeper into Terra's crust than Sarah had imagined possible. General Stone led them through corridors that were clearly built for both function and defense, with blast doors every 100 meters and automated defense systems that tracked their movement with mechanical precision. Impressive setup, Sarah commented as they walked. How long did it take to build all this? We've been excavating and expanding continuously for almost 300 years, Stone replied. When you live on a planet that regularly tries to kill you, you learn to build things that last. Everything you see here is designed to survive direct hits from Terra's worst weather, seismic activity up to magnitude 9.5, and hostile action from the local wildlife. Local wildlife? Dr. Vasquez asked with obvious concern. Stone's smile had a predatory quality that made Sarah slightly uncomfortable. You'll meet some of our neighbors later, if you're interested. They're quite remarkable creatures, though they take some getting used to. The conference room they eventually reached was both impressive and intimidating. The walls were lined with displays showing real-time data from across the planet. Weather patterns, seismic activity, wildlife migration routes, and what appeared to be defensive positions around major population centers. Before we begin, Stone said as they took their seats, "How are your passengers doing? The Kepler Collective members you rescued?" Dr. Brad. Vasquez has them stabilized, Sarah replied, though she says their recovery will take time. They suffered significant exposure to something in this environment. Terra's atmosphere contains several compounds that are toxic to most non-Terran life forms. Stone explained matter-of-factly. It's one of the planet's defense mechanisms. Most species that try to establish a presence here die within days of exposure. We've developed immunity over the centuries. Senior trader Lyrelle, who had insisted on attending the meeting despite his injuries, leaned forward with obvious interest. Defense mechanisms? You speak as if the planet itself is alive. In a sense it is, Stone replied. Terra is what we call a reactive ecosystem. The planet responds to threats by becoming more dangerous. The more hostile forces that try to establish themselves here, the more hostile the environment becomes to counter them. Stone activated one of the wall displays, showing a cross-section view of the planet. When our ancestors first arrived, Terra was dangerous but manageable. Severe weather, aggressive wildlife, toxic atmospheric components, but nothing that determined humans couldn't handle. However, as we adapted and began to thrive here, The planet seemed to adapt as well. That's impossible, Kim interjected. Planets don't have consciousness. They don't respond to colonization. You would think so, Stone agreed. But Terra has taught us that the universe is far stranger than most species believe. Watch this. The display changed to show a timeline spanning the last 3 centuries. In the early years, the environmental hazards were significant but predictable. As the human population grew and adapted, the planetary dangers escalated proportionally. The storms got stronger, Stone continued. The wildlife became more aggressive and intelligent. New toxic compounds began appearing in the atmosphere. Seismic activity increased. It was as if the planet was testing us, seeing how much we could endure. How did you survive? Sarah asked. By becoming something more than human, though we're still recognizably your species. Every generation born on Terra is stronger, faster, and more resilient than the last. We've developed resistance to toxins that would kill anyone from your colonies in minutes. Our reaction times are enhanced, our bone density is increased, and our immune systems have adapted to handle pathogens that don't exist anywhere else in the galaxy. Dr. Vasquez was taking notes rapidly. That level of adaptation in only 300 years should be impossible. Even with selective pressure, evolution doesn't work that fast. Unless, Stone said with a knowing smile, the planet is actively participating in the process. Terra doesn't just test us. It changes us. Those who can't adapt die. Those who can adapt become part of something larger. The implications of what Stone was saying began to sink in. Sarah realized they weren't just talking to human colonists. They were talking to a subspecies that had evolved specifically to survive on a world that killed everything else. General Stone, Sarah said carefully, why hasn't Terra contacted the galactic community? With your adaptations and technology, you could be a valuable ally to humanity and the other peaceful species. Stone's expression grew serious. Because, Captain Chen, the galaxy isn't as peaceful as you think it is. There are threats out there that your governments prefer to pretend don't exist. We know about them because Terra attracts them. He activated another display, showing the debris fields they had passed through on their way to the planet. Every piece of wreckage you saw on your approach represents a ship that came here with hostile intent. Pirates, slavers, military scouts from aggressive species, and worse. Terra has been a magnet for the galaxy's predators for centuries. What happened to them? Johnson asked. We happened to them, Stone replied simply. Terra doesn't tolerate threats and neither do we. We've become very good at protecting our world and eliminating dangers before they can spread to other systems. Lyrale spoke up, his voice weak but determined. The legends my people tell about Deathwalkers. You are what they describe, aren't you? Beings who hunt in the spaces between stars, who can survive anywhere and fight anything. We prefer the term Terrans, Stone said with a slight smile. But yes, we suppose your legends have some basis in fact. When necessary, we do operate beyond Terra's atmosphere to deal with threats to galactic stability. Sarah felt pieces of a larger puzzle clicking into place. The Forbidden Sector designation. That wasn't to keep people out of a dangerous area. It was to keep knowledge of your existence classified. Correct. We have agreements with certain elements within the major galactic governments. They know we exist and they know what we do. In exchange for our services in dealing with threats they can't handle, they maintain the fiction that this sector is empty space. What kind of threats? Sarah asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to hear the answer. Stone gestured to another wall display, this one showing star charts with various systems marked in red. 3 years ago, a species called the Devourers began expanding from the galactic rim. They consume entire ecosystems and use the biomass to fuel their expansion. Standard galactic military forces couldn't even slow them down. The display showed the progression of the Devourer expansion, a wave of destruction moving toward inhabited space. The Galactic Federation lost 17 systems before they quietly asked for our help. A single Terran strike force eliminated the entire Devourer fleet and traced them back to their home system. The threat was neutralized permanently. A single strike force? Doctor, Vasquez asked. Against an enemy that defeated entire galactic fleets? Doctor, you have to understand what 3 centuries on Terra has made us. We don't just survive in environments that kill other species, we thrive in them. We don't just fight hostile life forms, we hunt them. When you've spent your entire civilization learning to deal with a planet that's actively trying to kill you, fighting enemy fleets becomes almost relaxing. Sarah was beginning to understand the true scope of what they had discovered. Terra wasn't just a human colony that had survived on a dangerous world. It was a military installation disguised as a forbidden sector, populated by a variant of humanity that had been specifically evolved to handle threats the galaxy couldn't deal with. General, she said, why are you telling us this? If your existence is supposed to be classified, why reveal yourselves to us? Stone's expression became more serious than it had been during the entire conversation. Because the galaxy is about to face a threat that even we might not be able to handle alone, our deep space monitoring stations have detected something moving in from extragalactic space. Something big enough to dwarf any previous threat we've encountered. The wall display changed to show long-range sensor data. In the deep darkness between galaxies, something was approaching. The readings were fragmentary, but they suggested a force of incredible size and power. We've been preparing for this for 50 years, ever since our scouts first detected signs of this approaching threat. But we've reached a conclusion that's difficult for us to accept. We're going to need help, not just from the Terran Defense Force, but from every human colony, every allied species, everyone who values their continued existence. Sarah felt a chill as she realized what Stone was suggesting. You want to reveal Terra's existence to the galaxy. We want to prepare the galaxy for war, Captain. A war unlike anything that has ever been fought. Our projections suggest the approaching force will reach the Milky Way within 18 months. When it does, every military asset humanity and our allies possess will need to be coordinated if we're going to survive.
What makes you think we can trust your projections? Kim asked.
No offense, but you've been isolated here for centuries. How can you be sure about threats from outside the galaxy? Stone activated a control, and one wall of the conference room became transparent, revealing the chamber beyond. Sarah and her crew gasped collectively. The chamber contained what appeared to be a massive three-dimensional holographic display of the local galactic arm. But this wasn't just a star chart. It was a real-time tactical display showing the positions and movements of thousands of ships throughout dozens of systems. We haven't been isolated, Navigator Kim. We've been watching. Every ship movement, every communication, every threat that has emerged in the last 3 centuries has been monitored from Terra. We have intelligence networks that extend across the galaxy, and our technology for long-range detection and analysis is centuries ahead of standard galactic equipment. Sarah stood and walked to the transparent wall, staring at the incredible display. Ships from dozens of species moved through space in real time, their positions tracked with precision that shouldn't have been possible. How? She whispered. 300 years of fighting for survival against a planet that has unlimited resources and unlimited creativity in finding new ways to kill you, Stone replied. When your environment is constantly trying to destroy you, you learn to be very, very good at gathering intelligence and staying ahead of threats. Dr. Pi. Vasquez joined Sarah at the transparent wall. This is incredible. You're monitoring the entire galactic community from here and protecting it, Stone added. Over the last century, we've prevented or eliminated over 200 threats to galactic stability. Pirates, slavers, rogue military forces, hostile first contact situations, and worse. Most of the time, no one even knew they were in danger. Lyra lay struggled to his feet, supported by his medical equipment. You are the Guardians, the ones the old legends speak of. Beings who watch from the darkness and fight battles that others never know were fought. We prefer to think of ourselves as doing what humans have always done, Stone replied. Protecting our communities from threats they can't handle themselves. The scale has just gotten a bit larger over the centuries. Sarah turned back to face Stone. What do you need from us? We need you to take a message back to Earth and the human colonies. The time for secrecy is over. Terra is ready to reveal itself to the galaxy and offer our services in preparing for what's coming. But we need the political and military leaders of human space to understand what they're dealing with, which is a subspecies of humanity that has spent 3 centuries becoming the most dangerous military force in the galaxy, living on a planet that has taught us to fight enemies that most species can't even imagine. We're offering to share our technology, our tactical expertise, and our soldiers to help save the galaxy from extinction. Stone handed Sarah a data chip. This contains everything your leaders need to know. Technical specifications, tactical assessments, and our projections for the approaching threat. But Captain, there's something else you need to understand. What's that? Once we reveal ourselves to the galaxy, there's no going back. Other species are going to learn that humanity has been hiding a civilization of what they'll consider to be super soldiers on a planet that kills everything else. Some species will see us as potential allies. Others will see us as the greatest threat the galaxy has ever produced. Sarah pocketed the data chip, her mind racing through the implications. They had come here to rescue a group of stranded aliens. Instead, They had discovered that humanity had a secret ace up its sleeve that could either save the galaxy or terrify it into viewing humans as the enemy. General Stone, I have one more question. If Terra has made you all into enhanced humans capable of surviving anything, why do you still need the rest of humanity? Stone's smile was both proud and sad. Because despite everything Terra has made us, we're still human. We still believe in the values that sent our ancestors to the stars. We protect those who can't protect themselves, we explore the unknown, and we never abandon our own. The approaching threat is big enough that even enhanced humans are going to need every ally we can get. As the defiant spirit prepared to leave Terra with its rescued passengers and its incredible cargo of information, Sarah looked down at the planet that had shaped an entire branch of humanity into something beyond normal human capabilities. In 18 months, the galaxy would learn that the forbidden sectors contained not empty space, but humanity's secret weapon. The question that remained was whether that revelation would unite the galaxy against the approaching threat or tear it apart in fear of what humans had become. The distress call that had started this journey had awakened far more than just humanity's deadly Deathworlders. It had awakened the beginning of a galactic war that would determine the survival of every intelligent species in the Milky Way. As Terra disappeared behind them, Sarah Chen knew that nothing would ever be the same again.